got a machete in your pocket, sir, or are you just happy to see me?
I'm just saying, why wouldn't you check the back seat?
I'm just not here for it.
I kind of enjoyed the axe to the face.
Ooh, hey there, Mr. Monster.
So, chill or kill. Sitting over here waiting for Katie to just get her shit together so that we can record this episode.
You're going to be waiting a while because I'm over here with the coronavirus.
That's true.
Trying to survive.
Yeah, someone, my place of business today banned all travel coming to the company. They were like, nah, nobody.
No, y'all stay at home.
Y'all stay at home. Literally.
Y'all go on ahead and stay at home.
I appreciated that. They were like, listen, if you're sick, don't come to work.
It would be really cool if they let you like work from home for like a couple months.
I mean,
that'd be cool.
Fucking, I wish. That would be great.
Hell yeah, that'd be bomb.
Meanwhile, I'm over here like, listen, I've been through H1N1, bird flu.
We haven't been through that swine flu. We fine.
Yep. Anthrax scare. Shit, girl, Y2K. We've been there. We've been seen it all.
We've been.
And we here.
It's fine.
And we here. And you're here too. And we appreciate that, don't we?
We do. We do greatly appreciate that. And we hope that you remain safe from the coronavirus, the potential pandemic that is threatening our civilization.
You know, a great way to do that is to stay at home and watch Netflix.
Fuck yeah, which is what we did.
That's exactly what we did. We're coming at you again with another Netflix and Carol.
Another one.
They're like, please, no, not another one.
Yeah, remember when we had this idea and we were like, oh, this will be fun. Let's just play around with this and drop it on the feed. And then they were like, congratulations, you played yourself. Now you're going to do them all the time.
Yep. That was crazy. So I just didn't realize that it would be as popular as it was.
Yeah, you
TBH.
guys seem to really love Netflixing and killing.
It's
at least that first part.
Yeah, it's like, oh, your regular episodes, that's fine. But
that's fine.
But
have you watched any movies?
But when are you coming back with Netflix?
What I would really love is a subpar synopsis of a Netflix film that I can watch for free.
For real.
But we love you for it. God bless you. We love our horror too.
Fuck yeah, we do.
We love our horror, so we love doing this for you.
Yeah, so we sat down, and this was kind of like, we struggled a bit trying to figure out what we wanted to watch.
It's always a challenge because you pull up the horror section and there's like a ton of movies listed, and there's stuff that like, it's like, what are we in the mood for, right? Do we want to watch something that's like really genuinely good and that it's like face meltingly awesome, or do we want to go for something that like we know is going to be kind of like more along the lines of horror comedy, more campy, more, you know, what is it exactly that we're going for? Do we want to be scared, or do we want to like
just have fun?
Yeah. Do we want gore, or do we want like psychological thrillers, you know, because even sometimes like with some of the edgier thrillers, like we have to have a discussion about like, is it technically horror or not?
Yeah, and then sometimes like those discussions, like, you know, going into like a psychological thriller or horror or whatever you want to call it, that those discussions can be a little heavy, and sometimes you may not be in the mood to think that much or like want to discuss that much. I mean, sometimes you just want to see, like, you see just like a really tacky cover and you're just like, let's go for it, man.
Most of the times that's me. I'll be honest. I think too hard most of the time.
Yeah.
And in my horror, I just want to kick the fuck back and relax. I want to have a good time. I want to have a short time. I'm not trying to be hanging around here. This is not the Oscars. I'm not looking for a 3-hour-long feature film.
Yeah.
About a traumatic event in history. Like, I'm not looking for that.
Nope.
What I'm looking for is just the quick, the dirty, the campy.
The quick, dirty camp.
At 100%.
Yep.
That's what I want.
Also, by the way, we mentioned this when we were watching this, or trying to figure out what we wanted to watch. But when did Netflix stop putting trailers?
I'm like worried that it's like some sort of Mandela effect where like it was never a thing. But I definitely remember that you used to be able to go into a movie and select like watch trailer
and watch the fucking
trailer. I feel like that was a thing.
I
know there's a lot of people whose Netflix on their TV will automatically, or the computer will automatically start playing trailers, which is really fucking irritating.
It's not even a trailer though. It like literally just starts playing the fucking film.
I don't know. It may be something with my settings. I don't know, girl.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, no. But let us know. Email us at thehauntedheartpodcast@gmail.com if you remember that Netflix had a watch trailer button.
Please. Please confirm
I'm
that
not
we're
even
not
kidding.
going crazy.
Please write us.
Yeah.
Please let us know.
Please.
Facebook. Let us know.
Please do so. So what did we end up settling on?
We settled on completely randomly.
It was at
totally random. Yeah, we have a whole process now.
We selected a random number and then chose from that line.
Yes. So we chose Game Over, which is a 2019 Indian psychological thriller film directed by Ashwin Saravanan.
Yes. So this was this had a really interesting cover. I mean, I'm not usually one to say, judge a horror by its cover.
Don't judge a horror by a cover.
Don't judge a horror by a cover.
You gotta be careful how you say that one.
Yeah, that too. No, but I am always, this is the thing with me, and I've noticed this. I'm always a sucker for the color red in a cover.
Well, it's very dynamic and eye-popping. It naturally kind of holds our attention because it's like a warning color, right? I think orange is the most, yellow and black, and then like orange and black are the most eye-catching because evolutionarily there's like, if you think about the things in nature that are bright orange or bright yellow or bright red, it's usually not good.
Yeah, or like traffic cones and,
Well, that's why they make
like
traffic cones that color, because
evolutionarily,
like, our brains are wired to see that color and be like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. So that kind of caught my attention first. And then it just seemed to have a really good story, which I think we will kind of get into right now a little bit. Just a little bit of like what this is about.
We will. We'll give you a little. If you're new to Netflix and Kill, I guess we should say.
Yeah.
If you're new to Netflix and Kill, first of all, welcome.
Welcome to the couch.
Have some snacks. I hope you came prepared with your snacks.
Because we don't have any to give you.
We would share with you, but that wouldn't entail you coming into our homes, and that would not be what we need. So basically the format of this show is every week we watch a horror movie on Netflix. And it has to be, well, it doesn't have to be something we haven't seen, but most of the time it's something we haven't seen. And, we then provide like a quick synopsis of it, spoiler free. And then in the last portion of the show, we get into more of the spoilers, but we'll let you know when that's coming up so that you can tune out if you want to watch the movie on your own and avoid it being spoiled for you. And then we give it a rating of what we thought. We will either chill with it, meaning it's good, we liked it, or we'll kill it, meaning it's trash, don't watch it. Or maybe do, because your opinion might differ from ours.
Yes.
We're by no means any level of authority. We're
no,
by no means
not at all.
Any level of authority or professional. We don't want that responsibility. We are not Roger Ebert. We just Kenny and Katie, and we just doing our best.
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't want to be, because those like elitist horror people, I don't like them. Not at all. Like you and we say this pretty much every time, but like, I mean, you like what you like. Like
right.
What I like, you may not like, and what you like, I may not like, and that's cool too. But at the end of the day, we should all be able to pick out, what was good about a film, what wasn't bad, or what wasn't good about a film. And be able to discuss it with respect, because that's the other thing that I get. Like, a lot of people like just will absolutely trash a film, and like, I mean, where's your film most of the time? You know what I mean? Like, where's your film, huh? Where's your film? I know I haven't made a film. So like, who am I to sit around and
I
just
feel
talk
like
about,
I have trashed films on this show before.
Probably. But you
I don't
get
have
what
a
I'm
film. I have a
saying.
podcast.
That is true.
That is also trash.
But, be respectful.
Yeah, no. All right, so with that, we can get into a bit of the plot. So, this movie, obviously Indian horror. I don't have any experience with Indian horror. Kenny, I don't think you have any experience really with Indian horror either.
No, actually. So it's something that is kind of untapped for me, and I feel kind of ashamed to say that.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that like the Bollywood scene, what I know about Indian film is basically Bollywood. And I don't even know that well. So this was kind of the first like venture forth for me, certainly into the realm of Indian horror, but kind of into the realm of Indian film in general. But basically the movie starts out, the opening scene is really aggressive. I wasn't expecting it to be. It was very graphic. It was very aggressive. I guess we should give a trigger warning for folks. This film has quite a bit of depiction of, it's kind of front loaded, but there's quite a bit of the themes involve graphic violence, sexual violence in particular, home invasion, and there's sexual violence topics like sexual assault and rape and things like that are brought up. So if that's not your bag, if that is triggering to you, then that certainly is something that you should know going in about this film. Maybe it's not the one for you. Maybe this episode isn't the episode for you, because those are some of the things that we're going to discuss. However, if that's the case, that's totally fine. You can turn it off, protect yourself, take care of you, and we will see you next episode. Take care of yourself, baby.
Yeah,
we'll catch you next time. That's totally fine. But basically the film, the opening sequence is very graphic, very violent, very much caught me off guard. Didn't expect that. Didn't really know what to expect, but didn't expect that. And then we get into the main story. That's kind of like the vignette at the beginning, and then we get into the main story of this woman who is clearly suffering from some kind of PTSD. Some sort of event happened to her that was traumatic. We don't know much about it. She is going about her life. She's a gamer girl. She loves her some Pac-Man, let me tell you.
Yeah, so this is what's really cool to me. So I love the fact that you sort of have this character, right? And she's obviously, she's experienced this trauma, but she is this like, still like, she's this like badass little gamer girl, which was a really cool like part of her character for me to see, because you don't really like see that a whole lot. Like, I just kind of think that if I think of like this young female who kind of has her own place, like most stories might paint her as like a potter or like an art, you know what I mean? Or like something.
A potter?
Yeah.
Did
like,
you literally
you know what I
just
mean?
Fucking say a potter as in one who makes pots?
A potter,
like she's at a fucking like
no, like
a fucking clay wheel that's like like ghost.
Yeah.
Fucking shaping shit with her hands.
Yeah, I don't know, but something like, you know, like, no. Get me, listen to what I'm trying to say. You know, when you have some of these films like that have these main characters who are women, and they always like sort of paint them as this like they have this really nice house, like they have this really nice house, but they like, you know, how do they make their living? They have a fortune selling like pottery or like something stupid, like something that you would see on like those people that try to search for like $1 million homes or shit like that. And it's like, what do you do? Okay. And it's like, oh, I'm a beekeeper, and I'm like, my budget's like $1.7 million. You know what I mean? Like, maybe. I just feel like that's the direction
I'm a beekeeper.
That a lot of people
that's the direction that a lot of people go in, is pottery.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
the
they
making
do.
of pots.
I just like that they made her a really cool like gamer chick.
I
is
mean,
what
I'm
trying
over
to
here
say.
trying to figure out how she's paying her damn bills. Maybe she ought to make a fucking pot because she really is just over here playing Pac-Man all day, every day, and she got this big ass nice house, and I'm trying to figure out how she paid for it.
No, they showed her building a game in the beginning.
Oh, she's like a designer.
She's a designer,
a game designer. Okay, that's cool.
She's like
I missed
a game
that
designer.
because there was a lot of Pac-Man happening.
No, she's a game designer.
Okay.
So she was building, like they showed it was a very small piece of it, but they did show her like building like the games and stuff like that. So that's what I mean. Like she was like really cool. And that's the overarching theme of this whole movie, right? Is like it's set almost in like a game world in and of itself, right?
Yes, I would say that, but I would say that it's not too so. Well, let's get in with the plot synopsis before we get into the discussion portion because I don't want to ruin anything for anybody. But basically, the course of the film is, there's this woman. There's clearly some traumatic event from her past. We're not really sure what it is at first. We see her have like a couple anxiety attacks, panic attacks. She's in therapy. And her thing is that she is deathly afraid of the dark. And that for some reason, being in the dark triggers her PTSD and sent her into a panic attack, and she just can't function.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the premise that's set up. She's living in this house, and she has this maid or housekeeper or whatever you want to call her. And it's basically just the two of them in this big, huge house. She is the housekeeper has a couple different times that she says something about the main character's parents, like wanting to see her or wanting to come over or wanting to like connect with her in some way. And the main character seems to be like not really feeling that. So there's a sense that she's sort of divorced from her family, that she's sort of isolating. And that's kind of the vibe. Throughout the film, she starts to have this like weird. So she has a tattoo on her arm, on the inside of her arm, right on the inside of her wrist, and it's like this tattoo that she got about a year ago, and she starts to have issues with it where it feels like there's like a needle stabbing her in her arm. And it's been a year since she got the tattoo. Some of you guys have tattoos, some of you don't. But basically, if you're going to have an issue with the tattoo, it happens like in the week to 3 weeks after you get the tattoo during the healing process. Your tattoos don't just start like mystery, like painting you. It's not
mystery
a thing.
Painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get like weird, like pains in your tattoo a year after you got it.
No.
So that sort of thing starts happening. She's kind of freaked out by it. She goes to maybe get the tattoo removed, but then like the tattoo removal gun like makes the pain worse. And so you're kind of wondering, okay, is this going to be, at this point in the film, I think we were kind of like, is this going to be like something like a psychological thriller in the sense that she's like freaking out about this tattoo and something's going on with that? Is it something that's paranormal with the tattoo? Is like her fucking tattoo haunted? Like what's the deal? And but then you also have these PTSD flashbacks that she's having. And so it's kind of, at this point in the film, it was very much the story could go any direction and you weren't really sure which direction it was going to go in.
Yeah.
So I think here is where we will throw out our spoiler. Like, we really should have a soundbite for that.
You say that every time.
We
I
really
still haven't
fucking
made
should.
a
I just wish we
soundbite.
had something that we could just like throw up. But here's where I think I'll throw up the spoiler flag, because if you go any further than this, we're going to get into some key plot points of the film that may spoil the experience for you if you were trying to watch it for the first time by yourself and you don't want it spoiled. Maybe pause the episode, watch the movie. It's a tight hour and a half, and then come back and listen to the rest of the discussion.
Yeah.
So go on ahead and get out of here, people who don't want spoilers.
Get you out of here. Get your ass out of here.
Bah.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Okay, now that we're alone.
Yeah, and it's just us.
You naughty, spoiler-seeking people.
Fucking weirdo.
Yeah. So basically what starts to happen is our main character's depression and PTSD and her PTSD and the depression and anxiety that are spurred on by the PTSD are driving her mental state further and further into the ground. We discover through a series of flashbacks that the traumatic event that happened to her is that she was bound, gagged, and raped sexually. Well, she was raped. And then she was abused. And then photos of that and video of that were circulated online. Apparently, the day that she got her tattoo, she walking home or something was like assaulted.
Yeah, I don't think they ever really say that, like, if it was the day of, but it was after she got her tattoo.
It was because at one point she says that she shouldn't have gone out. If she hadn't gone out to get the tattoo, that wouldn't have happened. So I don't know if it happened inside her home. I'm kind of thinking it did, but it's not clear. What is clear is that she had this experience.
Yeah.
This horrible, awful experience. And that is what is haunting her. And it happened around New Year's. So it's a year later, around New Year's, and her therapist says, it's the fact that it's a year later, it's around the same time of year, you must be being triggered by the fact that, it's the year anniversary, and it's called the anniversary effect, and that's why you're freaking out, and that's why you're having these, delusions about this tattoo. There's a scene which we'll talk about in the discussion portion, there's a scene where she goes into a cafe to order coffee, and there are two guys sitting at a table, and they are whispering about her, and at one point she sees their phone, and they have the pictures pulled up of her from the night of the incident on their phone that they're showing each other. And that just sends her into a fucking tailspin. She decides to kill herself. She creates a noose to hang herself. And as she goes to hang herself, her tattoo just basically creates this crippling pain. And she's not able to function because it literally is hurting so bad. And then all the lights shut off. And then at this point you're thinking, okay, we have a fucking paranormal ass movie right now.
Something's going on.
So
also thanks to her maid who came busting in too.
Yes. And then the housekeeper comes busting in, saves her from, making a mistake that she can't take back. And then we get her back on into therapy where she needs to be. And then something happens. I think it was her parents wanted to visit or something, or her parents were talking there's another inciting incident, and then she actually at the therapist's office runs out and jumps off of the third or fourth story of a building, and you see that whole fucking shot. Which is one shot.
Wow.
You see the whole thing. She jumps off of the fourth floor and then lands on the windshield of a car beneath, and then rolls off of the car and onto the pavement. And you see the whole fucking thing in one take. It is a lot to deal with.
Yeah, just that was heavy.
Heads up on that, because I thought we were going to cut away or do some bullshit. No, they said, you about to watch this. So obviously didn't fare too well after that, but was alive.
Yes.
Which is great.
She ended up with what appeared to be 2 broken legs. Mm-hmm. And then some cuts and bruises. So from that point on, she's kind of definitely bound to her home, almost in a sense, at least
she's
to
bound
her wheelchair.
But
I mean, it's sort of adds to whereas before, she had the mobility that she could get up if she wanted to. She had the option. Now she's kind of stuck to this wheelchair.
Right.
Which I think was kind of a point in the story. It kind of tied back to the story as a whole.
Right.
Which we'll probably get into a little bit later.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So as Kenny said, she is wheelchair bound. She is housebound at this point, and her housekeeper, ever doting,
Kalama,
fucking Kalama, gold star. Kalama gets this episode's gold star.
Yes, she does.
She fucking, what a trooper, man. I don't know what she was getting paid, but it won't enough.
Hell no, it won't enough, girl. I would have been out by.
She's so sweet. She was so sweet. So yes, her housekeeper is taking care of her, and from that point, it appears that she's like in an even deeper depression, right? She attempted to kill herself. Luckily, wasn't able to see it through the first time. And then the second time, she ended up with all of these injuries, which, of course, not ideal.
Yeah.
So but more ideal than dying, because you can't take that back and bones heal.
Yes.
So from this point, she falls into a dark depression until one day, Kalama, her housekeeper, comes to her and says, there's a woman here to see you. She has this secret information. And basically what we find out a little bit earlier in the film, actually, it's before we get into the broken legs and the depression. The tattoo that our main character got, she got it at a tattoo studio called Immortal Inks. And what we found out earlier when she was investigating why the tattoo was hurting is that the tattoo, there's a process where they mix ashes of your dead relative. You guys have probably heard of it because you're spooky motherfuckers. But there's a process where they mix a little bit of the ashes of a deceased friend or relative or lover or whoever into the ink for your tattoo. It's only done in a certain, in very specific places. I believe you have to specialize in it. And it's a way of kind of memorializing them and feeling like you're carrying them forward. Because they're in your tattoo. So apparently our girl had gone to a studio that specialized in this when she got her tattoo a year ago before the incident that happened to her. And there was a mix-up, and the tattoo artist, she basically, who looked like she could have been out of a Gwen Stefani video, I'm gonna be real.
Yeah,
from
she
the
did.
mid-2000s,
she really did.
because she was working that fashion.
Yeah, she definitely was. Was probably I was clocking the tattoos a little bit because they didn't seem a little too realistic for the for what she was, for where she was. Like, I don't know, they just didn't look like, they looked like stick-ons. That's all I'm saying.
They did look like stick-ons.
The tattoo artist's tattoos looked like stick-ons, and I was like, I clocked it a little bit, but by this point I was kind of really invested in the film, and I'm like, I don't really care. Right.
So basically this our Harajuku girl at the tattoo salon, she basically fucked up.
Yeah, big time.
She fucked up.
Whoa.
And she used the ink that was that had the ashes of somebody's deceased loved one to actually do our main character's tattoo.
Yeah. Ooh.
So
I hate to be her.
Yes. So our main character is told that, hey, your tattoo has the ashes of this dead person in it that you don't fucking know, and that's super weird. And then of course it's causing all of these like pains and weird shit going on with her. Yeah. So she basically, literally, actually did, plot twist, have a fucking haunted tattoo.
I mean, yeah,
amazing,
crazy,
amazing. So with that knowledge, then further on in the film, when she's in this super, super dark depression and she's basically bedridden or couch ridden, she's, in a wheelchair. At that point, this woman comes to see her. And, at first she's like, turns her away. She doesn't want to talk to anybody. But then her housekeeper tells her it's the mother of the girl whose ashes are in your tattoo. She knows exactly what's happened to you. And at that point, our main character decides to admit this woman into her bedroom, have a conversation with her. And what this woman shares with her is that she had made an appointment at that very same tattoo salon to get this memorial tattoo, memorializing her daughter. And she wanted her daughter's ashes to be in this tattoo. Now, her daughter had beaten cancer 3 times.
Yep.
And every time she beat cancer, she went to that particular tattoo salon to get a heart tattoo on the inside of her forearm, which is the same place where our main character had her tattoo on the inside of her wrist by the forearm.
Which was also a heart, by the way.
Which was also like a video gamey heart design.
It was a video game, like pixelated heart type design.
Stick on. So this woman had apparently beaten cancer 3 times. She had just beaten it for the 3rd time, and she had an appointment at this tattoo shop to get her 3rd heart tattooed on. Well, apparently, at that particular time, before she could make that appointment, she was going to meet her mom there. Before she was able to make that appointment, she was actually murdered the night before. And this is where we connect the dots, and we see a picture of this person, and we see that this person is the person that in the first scene of the film we saw brutalized and ultimately murdered.
Yes.
And she was beheaded and set on fire. And apparently the only thing that was left of her were a small amount of ashes, and these are the ashes that were given to her mother. And then her mother made an appointment at the tattoo shop to have a memorial tattoo done with those ashes. However, Harajuku girl fucked up and instead included those ashes in our main character's tattoo. So this part of the film I thought was, we'll get into it more in the discussion portion, but it was really well done. And you really got a sense for like the fact that this woman this daughter of this woman whose ashes were used in the tattoo was a fighter. And, you know, she seemed to be a really good person. They showed a lot of pictures of her. It was almost done in a documentary style, and it really...
Bitch,
it got us in our feels, and I was like, hang on, this is scripted.
I cried. I was like, what?
It was tough.
Yeah.
So from this point on, our main character, you know, kind of has a reality check. And, you know, that puts a lot of things in perspective, I think, for her. And she comes to respect the fact that even though she ended up with this woman's ashes in her tattoo by complete and total random happenstance, by accident, some might call that negligence.
Yeah,
I'm looking at you, tattoo shop girl. But she comes to respect that, you know, she makes her peace with it.
She cancels her appointment her like second appointment she had to remove the tattoo.
Right, to try to remove it. She's accepted it. You know, she's like, okay, this is cool. Which I would too if I was told that a bad bitch like that was in my tattoo. I would totally love that. I love a bad bitch. So she makes her peace with the tattoo thing. That seems laid to rest, and we're all good. However, it is now New Year's Eve.
Yes.
1 year after the traumatic incident that happened to our main character, and she wakes up on New Year's Eve at 11:01, and she is immediately sort of put in a home intruder situation.
Yes.
Basically, we see her housekeeper go to the door because she hears like a noise outside. She goes to the door. Nobody's there. Our main character hears somebody wrestling around in the woods, and this is basically, or in the yard outside. And this basically from here is like a home invasion type of vibe.
Yeah.
The intruder lures the housekeeper out with like a water bottle or something because she's so damn dedicated and trying to take care of this messy ass bitch.
Yeah.
She went outside to pick up her shit because she left it outside.
Yep.
And then she got beheaded. So that didn't work out too good.
No.
And then the home intruder very reasonably easily comes inside the house. There's a little bit of a chase, emphasize. And then he beheads our girl.
Well, not before something happens with her arm.
Well, does that happen right before?
It happens right before.
Okay, so he's pursuing our girl. This masked intruder, black mask, dressed all in black boots, fucking long ass, scary ass knife.
Yeah,
scary ass fucking knife, bigger than like a Bowie knife.
Black like skull mask, like
yes, it's very scary. Also,
I mean, it's understated.
Yeah,
but like it's not over the top. But
it is over the top, but in like a way that like is terrifying instead of cheesy. Because the blade is like really, we'll get into it in the discussion. The blade is like really abnormally, like ridiculously large, but somehow instead of being ridiculous, it's actually just the stuff of fucking nightmares. So anyway, he chases her down, stands with his boot on her cast, and right before she's getting ready to die, she looks at her arm and she sees that instead of having one little pixelated heart tattoo, she now has 3.
And at this point, you're like,
The fuck?
What?
Yeah.
It just took a complete turn.
Right. You're like, huh? So now we have this home invasion, PTSD, like, violent, gore sort of element combining with this paranormal element. And they've kind of been running parallel this entire time. But now they've kind of reached the point where they intersect.
Yes.
And then she gets beheaded. Like straight up beheaded immediately. You're like, well, fuck.
And set on fire.
Yes, and then set on fire. And you're like, huh.
So obviously now we've connected that this is the same person who, committed this violent act at the start of the film as well.
Right. Which was obviously the woman in the, well, I guess not obviously, but the woman in the first scene of the film who was beheaded and set on fire by this person, entity, whoever the fuck. She, this is her murderer, basically.
Yes.
So after that happens, then our main character wakes up again. And it's 11:01. So it's basically reset. Now we have a happy death day sort of situation.
Yes.
And from this point on, basically she looks at her arm and she has 2 hearts left. And, so basically she has... Obviously, she's the video game girl, so those are her lives, right? That's her ups.
Right.
As I used to call them.
Yep.
Her ups.
Girl, I wish I had a mushroom to make me a big-ass damn version of myself so I could just walk around and, like, fucking
pizza does that for me. Makes me a big-ass version of myself.
Just walk around. What would happen if he was to go and, like, try to get her again, and then she just, like, ate a fucking slice of pizza and then she just went all like Super Mario on his fucking ass and like turned, like when Mario gets like all like rainbow colored and you can just like blast
when
through
you eat the
anything.
star.
Yeah,
that would be incredible.
Anyway,
I've had cold brew that made me feel that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically from this point we have the structure of, okay, this is a video game and these are our extra lives and we about to go. And she basically gets another 2 chances at surviving this incident. And what we learn in the second life, so to say, is that there's not 1 intruder, there's actually 3. And that's why it seemed so impossible the first time around, is because it actually was. There were 3 intruders at 3 separate points of the house.
Yes.
And the second time they like blow up the police save her, and then they blow up the police car.
Yeah. And that was when she realized that there were 3.
Yeah.
Because in the rearview mirror, she looks, because the police had actually...
It was such a cool reveal.
The police had actually killed the man, or at least they thought they killed him. They didn't realize that there were 2 other people.
They killed him.
Well, they killed him, but they didn't realize that there were 2 others.
Right.
So then, as she's getting away, she looks back, sees the other 2 in the rearview mirror, and then
she looks back, and it's the one that they killed sitting in her wheelchair.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 walk out and flank the one in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
And then one of them picks up the arm of the dead one that's in the wheelchair that they've set up in the wheelchair and, like, waves at her, which was fucking... terrifying. They look exactly the same, but they have 3 different weapons. One has a sickle, one has that big ass blade, and then the other one had like I guess he just had like a gas can.
He had a Molotov cocktail.
Yeah.
The other one had a Molotov cocktail. So she realizes like, oh fuck. But then, the car ended up getting blown to shit.
The fuck
up. And so she wakes up again.
Right. And that is our last shot where we gotta fucking...
What's that? She's got the... is it the fucking Eminem song playing in the background?
It is, yeah, that's definitely an 8 Mile situation. If you had one shot, one opportunity to fucking live.
Knees weak, mom spaghetti, girl. Like, you better get it this chance, because...
Yes.
You ain't getting another one, baby.
Yes. So this time our girl wakes up. She knows exactly, when to call the police, which is fucking immediately. Again, don't know that it would have taken me 2 lives to figure out that I need to call the goddamn cops ASAP. I call the police for nothing. Y'all let me hear a bunny rustling.
Shit, she called the police on me.
Hell yeah, you let me hear a bunny rustling in this bush outside this house. I'll call the cops in a minute. Shit. if it ain't nothing going down, then maybe I'll cook them dinner to say I'm sorry, but y'all coming out here to this house.
That's true.
We're not going to play with that. So, basically, this is our last shot. This is, we only have one heart left. We have one life left. And we gonna give it everything. So she basically says to her housekeeper, this is what's going down. Like, we may lose, we may die, but we're going to at least put up a fight.
Yes, we love that.
And this is the bad bitch switch has been flipped, as I like to say. And she's decided that she's going to be a final girl.
Yes.
Her and Kalima going to be final girls. So they basically get the police on the way, and they divide and conquer, and they kick ass. And spoiler alert, they win.
Yeah.
But it's really good.
It's a struggle,
the way that it's a struggle, and the way that it goes down is really really good. Like up until the very end, we were like, "Fuck."
You almost don't think she's gonna win.
Yeah.
It was really it was a struggle. Like neither one of them, the intruder or her, went down without a fight.
Yes. Yes.
They both
fought.
Well, all three plus the other two. The two females,
Yes.
Everyone was in on it, girl. And I was on the edge of my motherfucking seat.
Kalima could have done better, though. I mean, I don't want to read her for filth, but she really could have done better. But again, I understand that it's not her strong suit.
No,
you know what I mean?
No.
She's just trying to keep the house
Kalima
nice.
is like, she
didn't put in for that job. Yes.
She's a caretaker. She's going to provide and make things, good for you. She's not necessarily a fighter.
No.
She's not a gamer. You know what I mean? She's not.
It's true. She's not.
She's not that. But you know what, girl? She made it out.
Mm-hmm. She did. And our girl does triumph in the end, again, with a lot of struggle. And we were on the edge of our seat the entire time. And then that's the end. Like, it ends right after that, which is exactly where I think we felt it should end.
Yeah.
And that's basically the plot. And that took 40 minutes to explain that to you. And I'm sorry about that.
Well, and I think because of the fact that there is... You done?
I am.
Okay.
We're not going to edit that out.
No, we're not.
This is not the edited show.
No, because I don't have time for
That's that Corona.
And that's because a lot of this, and you and I kind of talked about this a little bit, is that a lot of the plot points in this it's a lot. You're given a lot to work with.
It is so much.
You've got depression. You've got suicide.
You have PTSD. You have rape. You have all of these like heavy psychological themes.
You've got an intruder. You've got
you have like the strangers, but then you also have like this paranormal element with the haunted tattoo. You've got a Harajuku girl giving people fucked up tattoos at the tattoo shop. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a lot to be scared of here.
And you've got like a little bit of like found footage in the beginning. So that was another thing that like when the film started, it was very like grainy and very like, because that's the other thing I think we missed, was that he records the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. His thing is he records it.
He records the whole thing. And so at the start of the film, you're kind of looking at things through his video camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize at first. I was like, oh, okay, this looks like a cheap B movie. I was like, I didn't know what this was. But then, later on it switches, and then you're like, oh wow, this is actually like a production. Like, it looks good, right?
Yes.
It's a whole thing, honey. And so there's a lot that's going on, and there's so many different plot points that it could have easily been stupid.
It really could. There was a lot. This movie was trying to do a lot, and in most cases where I have seen a horror movie, in fact, I don't know that I can think of one that actually does it successfully. But in every horror movie that I can think of where we have that many elements, we have found footage, we have like the strangers home invasion.
Yep.
We have, graphic sexual violence. We have the sexual violence wasn't graphically depicted, but it was graphic violence with sexual undertones. Right. And then you have this paranormal aspect with the tattoo. And in every movie where I've seen that, like where they go for so many things, so many different vibes, it fails because there's no through line, right?
Yes.
It doesn't
There's
gel,
nothing that
right? There's too much.
It all together.
Right. So like as we're going through this movie, like I'm enjoying the movie as we go, and I'm like, but they doing too much. They gonna fuck this up. Like this is about to get fucked up. And you're kind of led through it, and you don't really know what's going on. Like when her tattoo starts acting all crazy and weird, you're like, okay, is this something separate from the PTSD? Is this caused by the PTSD? Like, what's the tie-in? And it doesn't click for you really until you find out that, I mean, obviously, you know, being experienced movie watchers, like we figured that the fucking first scene where somebody got murdered and burned up, like that probably connected somehow.
Yeah, I mean, especially like when they mentioned the ink and they start going, it's like, oh,
right.
Okay,
you're like,
this is
okay,
what it is.
Clearly this is going to tie in somehow.
There is a paranormal element to this, and I'm gonna tell you what, we love that girl because
we do.
She is through and through a fighter in life and in death. Girl.
100%. Yeah, when we got to the part where they were talking about the ashes being mixed into the tattoo, which was actually fairly early on, that's when I connected it as okay, that's what happened. But then, you know, you meet the first victim's mom, and she drops the whole cancer thing that she had beaten cancer 3 times, and you're like, fuck. So that's why I started getting emotional, because I was like, you know, you have this character who has beat cancer 3 times. And of course, when our main character went to hang herself, of course her tattoo like freaked out and started hurting her. Of course.
Yeah. Like
that pain in her arm kept her from being able to kill herself. And of course, whenever she had an impulse to, you know, to self-mutilate or to self-harm, that's when her tattoo would flare up.
Right.
Because that was that girl decided, you know, that was that girl fighting, that she, you know, she had spent her entire life fighting cancer, fighting to live. And she damn well, now that she has been memorialized in this girl's tattoo, she's damn well not going to quit fighting now. So she, you know, to have that sort of, I don't know if it's because we saw the brutality of how she was murdered, and then we learned that like somebody who beat cancer 3 times was then like beheaded and burned to death, like taken out by some fucking careless like asshole, who like really was just in it for his own fucking gratification. Like, and the fact that just makes you so angry that then you feel like vindicated when she is like preventing this, you know, main character from harming herself. And then also the element of a woman in the first place, a woman empowering another woman in this way that you don't entirely understand at first, but essentially what she was doing was empowering her. And then also a woman who has been brutalized in such an awful way, empowering another woman who has been brutalized as well. Yeah, that was a huge theme throughout the whole thing. It was very like, you know, women helping women. Yeah. Women who have gone through, you know, because she went through her own traumatic events before she died. And our main character certainly had been through her own traumatic event. And it was just beautiful it was done with broad strokes, but it was done with broad strokes in the way that like a fable from your childhood is written. Like the fable of the ant and the grasshopper, or the tortoise and the hare. Like it was written, it was in those bold strokes, but it wasn't chintzy, it wasn't cheesy, it wasn't campy. It was very like, it was a very strong and powerful message about, it was almost redemption. Like, it was very poetic in a sense to me. Like it like you said, I mean, that's kind of like the best way to describe it, is like a fable or like a story. Like it felt right once you learned everything, and it felt like empowering, and it just felt right. I think that had they added like, I think that they stopped at like just the right amount of elements. Yeah, because honey, they took it all the way there. They put themselves right on that line, because I think had we added something like, you know,
this girl's spirit coming out, or
Right.
like something else. Like, had we, discovered like who had they unmasked,
Yeah.
the intruder, like any of those could have easily tipped this over into something that just wouldn't have been as strong as
Right,
what it
something
was.
that fell flat.
So I think that while they pushed a lot of elements, they were smart enough to edit themselves where they needed to,
Yes.
and stop it exactly where they knew they wanted
Yes.
to,
Yeah.
in order to keep you still vested in the story, which
Right.
was the most important part. I think the message of the entire film was what was important and is what they were trying to get across, not necessarily trying to scare you or trying to like make a jump scare. Like, yes, they were good at it, but that wasn't their intent.
Yeah,
You know
well,
what I mean?
the story was about the women that were involved, right? So the
Right.
story is about this woman who's having these like weird tattoo flare-ups, but the tattoo flare-ups are actually a character, turns out, in the story, who is also a woman. And so the story is about them specifically. And then you have the housekeeper who is also a woman, a different, like sort of a different image of the feminine. And the story centers on those people.
Yeah.
And the men in the story, the men who were looking at pictures of our main character, of the incident that were posted online, the therapist who also happens to be a man, all of the male characters in the story are very secondary. They're not focused on. And the intruders themselves were fucking terrifying because they were not ever identified. We never knew why they were doing this. Obviously, the same person who had brutalized our main character is the same person who had murdered, or group of people who had murdered our tattoo spirit.
Yeah.
I guess you could call her. So the fact they didn't need to be unmasked, and they didn't need a motivation, and that is what made them the scariest. I mean, it's just like that thing with the strangers. Why did you do this to us? Because you were home. They didn't need a motivation, and that would have made them less scary. As they were fear incarnate.
Well, it goes back to our good old Mikey. You know what I mean? Like, I even said at the beginning of the film, like, the whole, like, looking through the camcorder was very, reminiscent of, John Carpenter and Halloween, and how that sort of put me in that space. But
that experiential sort of approach. Yeah.
So it put me in that space. So I, immediately was kind of like, okay, all right, this is interesting. But I also wanted to, something that I was thinking about earlier when I was on my drive to work this morning, listening to the soundtrack, because when I get into my part of, I'm going to get into this fucking soundtrack.
Fucking bomb ass soundtrack, girl.
But I was trying to think of, so she had 3 lives. This girl beat cancer 3 times.
Yeah.
There was 3 intruders.
Right. That's very much repeated.
So 3 is also a theme in this as well. And I was trying to find to see if there was a connection between there being 3 intruders, other than the fact that 3 was just a number that was used.
Well, 3 is a number that's repeated a lot, and 3 actually is a very feminine number.
True.
3 is very much, if you look at the concept of a woman, she's a daughter, she's a mother, she's a sister. 3 is a very powerful number for us. And it is kind of repeated a lot. And so I think that I can't say that that's the decision that they had in their mind when they were, incorporating all of these elements. 3 is also the number of lives that you start with in Pac-Man.
That's true. And you kind of have to relate to her fascination with Pac-Man. Like, you have these ghosts that are just kind of like chasing you, and you're just like trying to like get away with them until you get your little, what is it? You get the cherry,
dot.
And then you go back and then you fucking swallow them whole.
Yeah, the cherries are extra points, but the blinking dots lets you eat them.
Yeah, that blinking dot, which lets you eat them. Also, I guess they could have made that choice because, if you think of like like bosses in a game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, it was just an interesting choice to me, and I was just thinking about like, it's just something I was thinking about on my way into work today. But yeah. So,
yeah, it was just very it's the type of thing where when you describe it, like if you were to like go talk to your friend, like let's imagine that like we watched this movie without the other one. Like if I were to come to you and tell you about this movie, like we're telling all of our listeners now for Netflix and Kill, like you'd be like, what the fuck? There's a tattoo. It's haunted. There's like
home invasion,
intruder. Like you would be like, the fuck? Like what is the actual story? Then there's this other girl who randomly gets murdered in the first. Like there's a lot going on, and it really doesn't. Like I really would say it's almost one of those things that you have to watch, which is ironic because we're describing it to you through an audio format, but this is what we fucking signed up for.
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
But I was so ready for it to not work. And every new element that they introduced, I was like, this is surely it. Like, this is surely the tipping point. And yet, we didn't ever topple over into, failure. We instead were kept right on the edge of our seat.
Yeah, it never went into, like, something that was just too... like
it never fell apart. It never fell
like,
apart. It was airtight, which is shocking to me.
There's a word that I was looking for there, but I couldn't find it. So it just stopped it from falling apart.
Yeah, it just
kind of like you guys do for us.
Do you want to talk about the soundtrack? Because I know it was bumping.
Yeah, I fucking do. I want to talk about this motherfucking soundtrack because, listen, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know that in my horror there are several things that I gravitate towards, and one of those is a really good score.
We need a bumpin' tune.
Love a score. Like,
it better slap.
It better knock me on my motherfucking ass. It better spit on my face. It better, motherfucking choke my ass on the floor and, just make me feel all those, like, all that good shit. But the score was amazing, and it was something that also initially drew me in. It was the soundtrack was composed by Ethan Johan, and like seriously, go look him up, go download the soundtrack. Ron Ethan Johan.
Interesting.
Yes. And go look it up because the main it's titled Game Over, and a lot of the soundtrack, but especially the main titles, and then there's one that happens right when the home invasion is happening, and that's called Game On. And it's like, it infuses a lot of like gaming elements into it. There's also ticking, there you go again.
I know.
Not editing it out.
I tried.
There's ticking elements, so it gives you like this weird like countdown, like you're running out of time vibe, like you've got to get to the end, you've got to survive, you don't have that much time left or lives left. And just was just great. And I downloaded the whole album like immediately after the film. I went and searched Apple Music, and I'm like, all right, I better hope to find this song on here, because I'm gonna tell you what, I Shazammed at the main titles and Shazam failed me. So
yeah,
I was able to find it.
Shazam failed, and I've been fucking looking at it on Spotify, like trying to find it, and I can't find it.
I just searched I searched his name, Ron Ethan Johan, and it pulled it up. The whole album. So amazing score. I'm sure you'll be hearing it when if I can find it and upload it on the Instagram page when we promote this episode.
Hell yeah.
So yeah,
please don't sue us, Ron.
Let's get into a little bit of the reviews. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, I think we should probably rate it because we've been babbling on about it for about a minute now.
Well, don't we? Oh, there you go. She's dying.
I hope I make it to the end of this episode.
She's dying. Her. Well, no, but don't we typically talk about the critics' reviews for the Rotten Tomatoes?
Oh,
first,
you want to talk about the tomatoes?
I just want to read a couple.
Do
you want to read a?
Sure.
Do you want to read a tomato and then I will read a little green splat?
A little green splat?
That's what that is. It's a little green splat.
Sure.
Do you have it pulled up? Are you prepared? Are you ready?
Have I ever been
I'm
prepared?
actually just going to sit here and spout words until you are ready in order to fill dead air. So we are, not... And then there's the dead air.
And then there's the dead air. So this movie has a 58% on the tomato meter, but you know how we feel about that.
Rotten Tomatoes can get 58% of these hands. Like, I mean, fuck off.
That's only based on, it says total count 12. So I guess the reviews, there's only 12 reviews. But basically, it has a 73% audience score. Based on 26 verified ratings. I don't know what any of that means.
But okay, whatever.
I don't really know how the tomatoes work. I just cite them.
I don't know either.
Okay, so you want me to read a tomato or green splat?
Why don't you read a tomato?
Okay.
You read a good one.
Let's see. There are many layers to the film, both the psychological and paranormal. And though the makers unravel it at their own pace, these moments are what make this film interesting.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I would definitely agree too.
I agree.
All right, so then I will read one. Let's just pick one. Game Over. This is the nasty one, y'all. Game Over scores points for daring to be different from the average mainstream Indian thriller. But overall, it isn't worth playing. Fuck you. It totally is.
Girl, bye.
Bye. We don't. Who are you? Musana from Film Inquiry? No. Bye.
We disagree. We respectfully disagree.
Let me just go back to what I'm saying.
As people who know absolutely nothing about Indian thrillers. Now, let me tell you what. If this is the bottom of the list for Indian thrillers.
Fillers.
If this is at the bottom of the totem pole for Indian thrillers, then I fucking got to watch more Indian horror. That was our consensus, is that we have to watch more Indian horror films.
For real.
Because apparently y'all out here fucking doing it.
Shit, y'all, we sleeping on y'all, and that is not cool.
Y'all out here giving it to us. Damn.
I mean, for real. So, hit us up with some recommendations.
Hell yeah.
If you're into Indian horror and you know something that that you think we would like, if I can get words correct, I don't know. Then email that shit over to us at thehauntedheartpodcast@gmail.com.
Hell yeah. I'm about to get all up in the Indian horror. I will say though, Indian, as a culture, I feel like Indian people really support their artists as far as people doing film and stuff. Cause I texted, I have a friend who is Indian, and she, I texted her to let her know that we were watching that movie, and she immediately replied, and she was like, "Oh yeah, that's the one with Taapsee Pannu. It's a good movie. She's a big deal in India right now. She's a big deal in Indian cinema." I'm like, damn, you really do watch. And she's not a horror person. She is not in any way who I thought would be watching this movie, and she's also older, so it's
well, apparently this film was
really
that actress's return back to film. I think she had been away for only I think maybe 4 or 5 years from what I read, but it was a big thing
young
that
as hell, man. I would have thought it was her debut.
That she came back, yeah. So I'm excited to listen to more or to watch more Indian horror. And I hope that you guys would be excited to listen to us talk about it. But so what do you give this? Are you gonna chill with it, or are you gonna kill with it, bitch?
I'm going to chill. I'm going to chill hard. I'm ice cold.
You ice cold? All right. Well,
I love women empowering women, and I love a message that just because bad shit happens to you in this life, you can be a bad bitch. Just because something happened to you don't mean you can't be a boss.
You can be badder than the bad thing that happened to you.
You can, and I love that. I love the inherent messages of women who society could easily perceive as broken, lifting up other women who have had similar experiences. That really spoke to me. It moved me, and fuck yeah, I'm all for that. And if you can do it, in a way that also has me sitting on the edge of my couch, clutching my pearls, scared to death of these 3 baddies, like, then okay.
Hell yeah. Shit,
How about
girl.
you?
Shit, call me Iced Tea because I'm chilling too, girl. I got sweat. I'm so damn chill with this. I got sweat on the outside of me. I got condensation happening right
You
now.
started talking about sweat, and I was like, the fuck?
Condensation. That's what I was getting at.
Damn, that was the most white person joke I have ever heard in my damn life.
You know what? Whatever.
I'm sorry if you Indian and you were just trying to research your cinema because y'all support your artists 100%. And you found this podcast. I'm sorry. We white as hell. We really try. We took the DNA test and he came back as like 100% Irish and I came back as like 100% Scottish. We ain't got no spice in us. We ain't got no flavor.
Nah, just potatoes and alcohol.
We a goddamn biscuit. Like, I mean, we do our best though. We really do try.
Yeah, man. We love a biscuit. We love a biscuit. And we love this film. So, yeah, we both chill with it. And we hope you do too. So, it is on Netflix right now, streaming. So, go forth and listen.
And watch.
Listen. Watch me turn into a valley girl.
Go check it out. If you do check out the film, we would love to hear what you think.
Yeah.
You can email us at thehauntedheartpodcast@gmail.com to let us know, or you can find us on our socials. We're on Instagram at The Haunted Heart Podcast. We're on Twitter at The Haunted Heart. And we're also on Facebook. If you search The Haunted Heart Podcast, if you give our page a like, that would be fabulous.
Yeah, like go like it, seriously.
Go ahead and give our Facebook page a like. Actually, I got a shout out. I'm doing this on the fly.
Did you really? You got a shout out from whom?
John Maynard and Colby Ramey both liked the Haunted Heart podcast today on Facebook. So there you go.
Oh, shit. Oh, you throwing in something new.
I am. I mixed it up on that ass. Actually, the Facebook page is called...
Thank you for giving away their names, their full names.
They gonna be all right. It's fine. You can bleep it. We'll make that edit.
Listen, if you want us to say your names with your private last name private, join the Patreon.
You can beep it. It'll be fun because it'll sound like I'm cussing. So look forward to that. But yeah, the page on Facebook that you can like is actually called The Haunted Heart. But if you look under The Haunted Heart Podcast, there's a closed group. You can join it. Either Kenny, myself, or a member of our Murder Mod Squad will approve you. Unless you are a serial murderer out here.
Unless you're 3 serial murderers.
Yeah, unless you are 3 serial murderers out here brutalizing women, in which case we will report your ass to the police.
Yeah, we will
lucky.
Fuck you up.
We might come after that ass.
We will fuck you up. Like, seriously. Like, because you don't know. We're fighters. We'll fight the fuck at you.
I fight even when I ain't even got nothing to fight for. Damn, my life's shitty as hell sometimes. So I'm still fighting for it.
You goddamn right.
We fight for this podcast.
Shit, bitch. Every damn day we fight. We fighting every day. Every motherfucking day.
That's the takeaway. There's the takeaway. Just because shitty things happen to you in your life doesn't mean you're broken, doesn't mean you're weak.
They don't define you.
They don't define you. And the second takeaway is fight like hell.
Fight like hell.
Every day of your life. You know what? If you're in a dark place right now and you got a lot going on, I tell you what, fight for spite.
Oh, hell yeah.
Fight for spite. Spite can be a hell of a damn motivator. Sometimes if you ain't got nothing else to motivate you in your life right now, baby, because it is a downturn and you are at the trough instead of at the crest of the wave, fight for spite. Fight just because you don't want your enemies to see you leave this world. But stay here just to be a motherfucker. Stay here just to ruin somebody's damn day.
Yeah.
With your existence. With your beautiful goddess existence. I'm certainly not speaking from experience. Clearly.
Okay. Well, guys, on that note, we're going to go watch more horror. And more horror. So while we do that, you guys know what you got to do.
You got to flip on Netflix, get educated on some Indian horror, and stay